The kingdom of Dalmasca is home to many wonders of Ivalice. Its capital, the royal city of Rabanastre, and the land-torn cataract, the Ridorana Lighthouse, make up just two of the many locations worthy of sightseeing. All of this is a ploy, however, to disguise the fact that Dalmasca's main attraction is sand. By the time this is realized, you've already been overcharged Gil for small ice creams and bottles of water in the many gift shops, leaving you a little annoyed, but not overly so, since at least the weather was nice. Welcome back into the Aether with Echo Mizuki.
Himes White Rock.
And Blake Lynn.
And this is part 2 of the race for World First with Kifd Meridius, Endless Rain, and Rislyei Issos. Say hi, guys.
Hey.
Hello.
Hi.
So first, can each of you introduce yourselves and let us know what job you do in your static?
Okay, so you want to start first?
Yeah.
Sure. My name is Kifd Meridius. I'm the paladin for Team Mythic. I tank all the things, and that's it.
I'm Rislyei. Oh, sorry. I'm Rislyei Issos. I am the ninja for Team Mythic, and also pretty much one of the founding members. Way back when. I've been around for a while, so happy to be here.
I'm Endless Rain, the raid leader of Team Mythic, and also one of the flex healers. I was also one of the original founding members of Team Mythic as well.
Rain, are you the leader, the static leader, or is that Riss?
Okay, so there's kind of a funny story about that one. Back before 4.4 release, I got the leading position, and I was like, my life was pretty hectic at the time, so I gave it up and didn't have a leader for a while. But during 4.4, I saw the need for one, so we had like a direction, and now I'm back at leading.
All right. So, Riss and Rain, you probably could answer this easier. What made you want to start Mythic?
I feel like it was just a love for raiding at first. I loved the idea of hardcore raiding, hardcore progression, anything having to do with hardcore, anything. At the time, we went under the name Foe Abandon, which we used as an alias to prog Sigmascape. And after prog progression was over, a couple of our members left, and it was left between me, Rain, and our warrior, Gelsey. And at the time, we didn't know what we were going to do. We thought just because we were 3 out of 8, we would disband and find our own group, but we thought we'd stick it out, see who we can get, and that's what led us to Team Mythic, honestly.
So, how long have you guys been together? I guess the original 3 of you.
Well, the original 3 founding members have been together since, I think, week 3 or 4 of the COG Prog, which is a while ago, like 7-8 months ago.
Sounds about right. I think we started in November. I remember that's when I was trialed.
That sounds really ominous. For the people that aren't aware what being trialed is, do you want to give them a brief explanation?
Oh, yeah. So, for people who don't know what hardcore groups kind of look for, it's more than just, it goes beyond the scope of player skill. So, things like your attitude, how you mesh well with groups and stuff. So what we do is we bring them on for interviews, and we kind of judge their character, see how they respond to questions, and afterwards we bring them in for a trial. So we we pick a fight, say for example the Unending Coil, or Ultima Weapon, and see how they do. Sometimes this can last more than 1 or 2 days, depending on how we feel, and afterwards we make a judgment, see whether or not they're a good fit, and if they're not, then that's goodbye. If they are, then welcome.
Is it a continual thing? Do they have to maintain that level of attitude and performance?
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, we've learned our lesson in the past. We've definitely had people in the group that we thought were good from the first day, and then turns out they weren't so good afterwards. In terms of attitude, in terms of mechanical consistency, how well you execute mechanics.
So whenever you're doing these interview processes, what specifically are you looking for? Like, I mean, you said that how they mesh and whatnot, but what?
Can I join? I'm funny.
Well, I mean, not to say that we don't look for player skill, but
shit.
That's definitely like a requirement that's kind of unspoken when we do interview people. It's like how people, I'm not sure we can bring this up, but how people look at FF logs, and they judge them based on how high of a number they get, and for hardcore groups like us, that's a given. Like anyone that joins us has to have that level. So we look beyond that. We look at how well you mesh with the group in terms of attitude. If you can crack a joke here and there between all the serious moments, and bring like a fresh kind of personality to the group.
Guys, I'm in.
So how long does this process take? I mean, is it indefinite? Because I mean, somebody's personality can turn on a dime sometimes.
Typically, we have a preliminary trial for us, where we check their personality, see if they mesh well with us within the first 3 or 4 days to a week, and then I say we give a month time period ish before we completely accept them. So let's say someone asks us to join, we give them the interview process, trial them in some fights, and then within a month's time frame, we kind of judge them, see if they're a really good fit for the group, and if they mesh well with us, then they're usually in.
I guess having the drive as well to accomplish what you've accomplished. I mean, you are obviously not going to hide the fact that you are wanting to. You've beaten the game. Let's just put it this way: you've beaten the game. You've beaten everything that Square Enix has had to offer to throw you, and now you're down to beating the players of the game. So you're going to make that quite a full-on thing to begin with, pretty much.
Right.
Do you? I mean, that must be is there no pressure for this? I feel like while you're looking for people that have got that skill level and everything else on top, you're still the pressure must be immense.
I mean, for some of the people that we raid with, raiding's breathing to them. They've been doing it for a while. The environment's pretty much tailored to our hardcore raid scenario, so everyone's kind of adjusted to it. But at the same time, we've all gotten accustomed to each other. We're all familiar with one another, so typically we're not really pressured at all, unless it's hardcore raid content, which is kind of a given.
Did that pressure come up with the race you recently partook in with the introduction of 4.4?
I would say it definitely did. A lot of people who were part of Mythic originally didn't world prog, especially for blind progression. So for some of us, it was definitely a new experience. For others, definitely not. But the pressure that comes with it is very unique. There's obviously a demand to be as consistent as possible, to play at the best for such an extended period of time is definitely stressful. sometimes you might not think about it, but you get on those breaks after a while, and it starts getting to you that you might be wasting time. Someone might be beating you in the race, and it definitely puts more pressure when you feel like you should be taking a break.
There's definitely you went into it blind. It was your debut shot, and you already knew what you were going up against with the likes of Entropy, Wheelchair Cowboy, Wheelchair Everything, and with the prog groups like Owen. So that must not have helped in regards to the pressure. Were you focusing on that at all, or were you just like, let's just shut up and do our own thing?
I'd say it was definitely a combination of both. Like, we were well aware of the competition. It's just that at the time, like, what can you really do? Like, we just had to go in there and compete and just try our best and see what we could do ourselves.
You transcend the pressure.
Essentially.
That's pretty cool. So you placed 16th in the World Race. How do you feel about it? It's going to be a risky question. It's going to be a risky question because your first couple of results were up there. You were definitely a challenging group. I think you made a lot of people raise their eyebrows, not just in the sense of who are these guys, but with holy shit, who are these guys? But
yeah, you really came out of nowhere. Basically, I mean, because I don't think you had a previous rating presence. You did place 13th in the race before this one, but I don't think anybody expected you to come out of left field the way you did, because you were in the top, I think it was 3 the first day.
Alright, so who wants to get into it? Because we have our excuses prepped.
Yeah, well, okay, so as far as the UU race, we didn't have a schedule set for that at all. I mean, we set aside like maybe a little bit over a day of kind of hardcore hours to get into the UU thing, but we weren't planning on world racing there at all, so we kind of, after that first day, just took it at our leisure and rated when we could. But when we got into Alphascape, we were heading into it with the idea of doing the race and seeing how well we could place. Unfortunately, because of like other circumstances and things, the maximum time that we could allot was 2 days. And given how Deltascape and Sigmascape went, we figured, we only get 2 days, but that should be enough. Given how those other ones went, it should be done by 2 days, or if it's not done by 2 days, then we're not getting the placement we wanted anyway. We turned out to be a little wrong, because the tier did take almost a full day longer than the previous 2 tiers did, and because of that, our world race time ended at the end of the second day, at which point we had world second Midgard Stormer and world third Omega. So heading into O12S, we were going in strong, but we missed about 10 to 12 hours of what would have been raid time on the third day, and then we only had like a lockout on the final day because that's all it took to clear it. So essentially, because we didn't get to raid the third day, the kill videos came out at the end of, or early on into the next day, and a lot of people got to watch the videos during that 12-hour period that we weren't raiding, and they caught up, and some people got in kills before our raid.
That's unfortunate. It's to be expected, obviously, but it is unfortunate. I think the scary thing about that is you've pretty much just stated that you were running Ultimate. You weren't trying. You were just knuckling down, focusing, absorbing all the information and putting everything to practice, and you made a huge leap in progress. So I think that knowing that, it kind of makes your 16th position more impressive, because it's going to leave the question of what if on everyone's lips. What if you had the time? Where would you be? Could you have made it third, second? Would you have pushed first had you had that lucky break without having to worry about anything going on in the future? So I'm assuming in the future you're going to allocate more time to offset your downfalls this time?
Right, that was the lesson we learned. And it's what I was kind of referring back to, is that, you know, with us not really world progging for Uwu, there was no question in any of ours mind that we had the execution to be able to reach world first, second, third, and it was only a question of how well we would do given mechanics that we know nothing about. Because when we did clear Uwu, we did have the video and we did watch it. So for us to clear so fast, so early given the video, there was no question in my mind that our execution was good. It was more so just how were we going to deal with mechanics we didn't know and how were we going to progress.
Tricky stuff. But it's nice to see you've got a plan for the future.
Oh yeah, we definitely learned our lesson. We definitely made a mistake thinking that this tier was going to be easier. Or not easier, but just as easy.
Yeah, but with this one, even if we had thought like, oh, maybe this one would be a little harder, because some people did, there were reasons that we couldn't take a third day this time that we will do our very best to avoid next time.
Which goes back to the whole gaming versus real life discussion we had on the first podcast.
Yeah, real life always comes first. Which is unfortunate, but that's the way of things.
Yeah, and we all, like I said back then, like we all recognized that, like you said, real life comes first and everything. And even though we knew, if we were able to put in an extra lockout or so, like when we called it on that final day, that we would have gotten a much better placement. We weren't going to make people, go into work on no sleep or not study for their tests or what have you.
Right. I mean, as much as we wanted to. Kind of.
Yeah, that must have been a conversation. Half the party wanted to continue, the other half couldn't.
Right.
It does sound like no one is, I guess, salty about it, which is, again, goes back to the attitude you mentioned previously.
We're not really disappointed. I think one of the major premises on our third or fourth day was no matter what happens, like we tried our best and we just didn't have enough time. So, I mean, we're a hardcore group, but at the same time we care about our members. We want everyone to succeed in whatever they want to do. So we're not going to force people to raid and give up what they have to do. So there's really no hard feelings about it.
Yeah, this was our first time really as a group with just doing World Prog, so it was better that we did it, got to experience it as a group, and hopefully come back stronger. So. But otherwise, I'm not disappointed with how we did.
Yeah, I think we kept a lot of confidence despite the placement, just based on how we did when we did have the time, the same amount of time as everybody else, where we got the world second and we got the third. If we had been lagging behind this far the entire time, I think we'd feel differently, but because we kept up while our schedule allowed, that it gives us less doubt in our own ability to be able to do this.
It's a pretty interesting shift of perspective. I guess you kind of revealed a bit of a secret thing, or a bit of an unknown factor regarding high-end raid groups, in that there are tools out there like FF logs, and you don't need them. You don't use them. You transcended it. And when it comes down to being salty over whether or not you've done something faster or first, you trust so intingently in your own skill that you don't get salty over it. It doesn't matter, because you have that confidence in yourself as well.
Right.
So
I feel like half the battle in world progging is really your mental state, because you're going at it for so long. Eventually, someone might get too stressed out because they're not performing as well as they should have, or we might not be going or beating the groups who rumored to have cleared already, and you hear that and you think to yourself, okay, I gotta clear this. I gotta make sure I don't fall behind, and it's an extra level of pressure that I feel like when it comes to world progging, you need to have that mindset of, having a very short memory and just being like, okay, we got to focus on what we got to do. We got to make sure that, we can still catch up. There can be walls that other groups are hitting that we might not. It's a lot of things that we try to, say to ourselves to keep up our confidence, but for the person that may not have, world progged or hardcore prog even, that could be very stressful. So, nonetheless, still fun.
Whole different ball game.
Right.
A bit like dying to that tower. I don't know if you guys saw that, but I took it to the face.
I didn't want to say anything.
Yeah, I know you guys are watching. You're watching the gameplay here.
All right.
Of course we are. We're watching your every mistake.
Oh,
yeah, I thought
no.
we were world progging Rabanastre.
I think we're already behind on that first boss wipe, though.
Well, we'll catch up.
I'm world progging my own death.
Well, you're doing a good job of it.
Thanks very much, Blake.
You're welcome,
Pretty difficult fight, not gonna lie.
Yeah, I'm sure it is.
Needless to say, though, we wouldn't be world progging if it wasn't at least somewhat fun. So, despite all the pressure and all that stuff, we find that as an extra challenge on top of what we consider boring recycled content. It's an extra level for us.
It's the last level. I mean, what
Essentially,
happens if you're first? What happens if you've beaten everyone?
Then you do it again next race.
Frosty gives Amazon gift card.
There you go. Yeah.
For people that are not aware, would you like to explain that one?
So,
Oh shit! Where do we stack?
oh god. Send help.
Sorry, continue.
Pretty sure this is just a meme, but there was something going around where Frosty gave Amazon gift cards to the world first one time, which I thought was pretty funny.
That's nice of him. Are we?
This is what world prog is all about, by the way. It's clearing when everyone else is dead.
Exiting one of your own team members.
There was
Eating where everyone else failed.
I feel like I'm part of the team, guys.
We got 2% left, right? We got a whole team available to us. We can do it. See?
This is the moment when one of our tanks accidentally uses tank LB trying to pot.
Oh my god.
I feel like there's a story behind that.
It is, yeah.
I want the story time.
Story time! Yay!
So
This is a new segment on the podcast called Story Time.
Yeah. We
Story
go
time
through
with Mythic.
Endgame. Yeah, story time with Mythic. So, who fucked up and how?
there is this one instance where we were doing alt clears on Midgard Simmer, and alt clears is basically trying to do it minimum my level. It's basically first week prog. So the DPS check is kind of difficult if people die. So one of our tanks was trying to pot for a burst phase, but he accidentally uses a tank LV3 for something that doesn't do damage. And we end up wiping to 1% because we didn't have a melee LV.
Classic. Tell me there's a recording of that somewhere.
There, actually, I can probably find it.
If
It's
you
funny
find
too
that,
because it wasn't the first time this happened. This happened in other raids as well, and it's just never come up until now, where we decided to change it. So good stuff.
if you find that, I'd like to put it in the description of this video for everyone to see the hilarity.
I'm sure he'll love that.
Yeah, I'm not sure if anyone was recording that, but it was good.
How's the floor feel over there, Riss?
To be honest, I DC'd, so sure. I'll come back.
There's the world-class excuse there, guys. Make sure to pocket that one.
I mean, it happens. My whole PC decided to crash during our live stream.
That is true.
Story time number 2.
I was gonna say the DC leads me into my next point.
Story time.
Oh, it's story time number 2. Oh, this brand new segment is getting so much attention.
We were doing Chaos Frog on 9S. We were actually one of the first groups to actually get to the final phase, if I recall. We were getting ready to like World First, World Second, World Third it. And 3 polls that we were getting ready to do that, one person would DC, so we would just not meet the check, and we ended up clearing like 20 minutes later.
God.
Yeah, that's one thing too, is that technical difficulties will come up. It's inevitable if it does happen, because it's gotta wait it out. Sometimes it makes or breaks World Prog, and you just gotta be as best prepared as you can. If it happens though, can't really sweat it too much, but...
I mean, I yelled at him for it.
Yeah, obviously you yell at people, but it's just... If it happens, it happens. There's not much you can really do about it.
That's one of those things you want to happen to someone else, not you.
Right, exactly. It's something you wish on the other groups. I mean, you obviously wish the best to the other groups, but...
Of course, yeah.
That's... We're all about sportsmanship here.
Right, while we're on the podcast, I wish the best. Yeah.
Yeah.
But, yeah, off the air.
I just want to say that we got to our platform first.
Because
we're better.
Right.
World first progging.
The platform
Rabanastre.
race.
Yeah.
The Rabanastre platform race, World Prog.
You've got to get that sprint timing right.
Right.
If you do it with your weapon behind your back, you get 20 seconds, guys. Top tip.
No, you do not.
Fun fact, running as a ninja with your daggers out makes you go 20% faster.
Right.
Because we all know that the Naruto run is more aerodynamic.
Yeah. They basically confirmed it.
So if you do that when you're running towards the boss when you start a fight, you actually shave off a couple of seconds that could really affect the time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and sometimes it can make or break you. Sometimes you go a little bit too far. Sometimes you undershoot it. It's a dicey situation sometimes.
Did we wipe on that last boss? I thought no, that was the one we...
That's the one we world first.
That was the clutch one.
Right.
Yeah. Oh.
Echo's laughing because someone in Shout Chat told us to not screw up
This time.
After
they died.
You can always guarantee about a bit of a 24-man Shout Chat stuff to be interesting. It's no Animos Shout Chat, but it'll do.
It's going for World First.
I mean, Animals Shout Chat pretty much just consists of dub airs, so...
Yeah. Do you guys do anything...
Or is Pazuzu? Pazuzu
Yeah.
question mark. That is 95% of Animos chat. Pazuzu question mark.
Is Pazuzu up? Well,
they streamlined it. They don't even is Pazuzu up. It's just Pazuzu question mark.
It's the next level.
Yeah, they gotta streamline that stuff.
Ah, son of a mother.
Which means, what do you guys do outside of... Sorry, I ate an AoE. What do you guys do outside of World Raiding? I mean, I'm assuming you still play the game for enjoyment and a few other bits and pieces.
World Raiders don't play outside of Raid.
Yeah, we don't exist outside of World Racing, come on.
It's a shame. I figured you'd have some sort of secret cloth weaver crafting obsession going on.
Yeah, we have a crafting circle.
But I mean, if you don't need things like the relic weapons or the the weapons from primals. Do you still do the content, or is it not?
Well, funny you say that. This was the first tier, I believe, in Stormblood where we actually had to farm the primal for the weapon in order to clear.
Oh, you had to?
Yes, that's why we said the difficulty spike really was pretty significant apart from Sigmascape and Deltascape. The DPS checks and I guess the way we were doing our strats kind of laid hand to us having to make it easier on ourselves, make it more consistent, by farming the primal, farming Suzaku. So it was definitely unique back then in Alexander. It was definitely a norm. You would just hit a wall in terms of DPS and you would farm the primal and move on from there. This time though, I'm kind of glad that the primal isn't kind of phased out of question by World Raiders. So
They also did something a little wonky with the itemization too. Like the crafted weapons back in Sigmascape had the same weapon damage as the weapons that came from Byakko. But this time around, the physical damage dealing classes, they lost the weapon damage in comparison to getting Suzaku's weapon.
And that weapon damage makes a big difference.
Huge difference.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I'm not sure if anyone cares about the specifics, but generally 10 main stat, 10 agility, 10 dexterity, 10 strength or whatever lands hand to 1 weapon damage, which generally gives you about 30 to 40 DPS. So 1 weapon damage among everybody is a pretty significant DPS increase, and it definitely helped when we were progging up 12. So
Beating 12 with the... I'm gonna stand here. Beating 12 with the Suzaku weapon. Could you now, having done it, go back with the stuff you had originally and beat it again? Is it down to a pure experience thing, or is it down to like the equipment?
You probably could, but it's more or less a comfort level thing. People will, and rightfully so, play more safer and give up more GCDs to do mechanics when you're trying to kill something for the first time. And when you put in an amount of time on it and got the kill, you can find places where you don't have to lose those GCDs, or you can squeeze in extra DPS, which will allow you to do it with worse gear.
right, I feel like if we did go in with crafted weapons, we would have had to have the best pots, the best food at all times, and then a level of comfort. Maybe even, I'm not sure if we would have to change our strats, but to accompany more DPS, but we definitely would have to go in with the best of the consumables.
So speaking of strategies, that's another thing that I'm actually pretty happy with it. Despite the placement and everything, because it was purely because we ran out of time, given where we were at the end of our hardcore progression schedule, since we got second and third on 10 and 11, and we were deep into 12 by the time we had to call it quits, we actually got to develop and blind prog pretty much everything before any videos came out. So being able to do that and keep up is something that we were unsure of because we hadn't done that before.
So do you think your experience in this one will help in the next World Race?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I believe because there were rumors that as the tiers progressed in the expansion, that the content was going to be harder, and we should have thought about that before setting aside days for World Prog. So I believe going into 5.0, it's definitely going to be a difficulty like Deltascape, where it's you're going to maybe not get a fight like 01 Ultroid where it's just a striking dummy, but definitely going to be a lot easier than what we saw in Alpha.
The 20-minute 01 fight.
I mean, there was people that went in there and one-shot it, so it wasn't even 20 minutes.
It was the normal fight minus a railing, and that was it.
And taking away some AoE cones, I think.
Yeah,
I mean, if it was one-shotted for World First, maybe that's not what we'll get in 5.0, but if it is, then we'll hear about it, that's for sure.
Did you find the difficulty escalated fine?
There is an issue with Chaos and Midgard where there's just like a complete disconnected difficulty, I feel. Because I believe Chaos and Midgard were semi-difficult. I'd grade them like a 5 out of 10 fight. But then you get to Omega, and that's where it starts ramping. Like, just the first minute and a half, you come up with a mechanic that I don't think they've actually done before. which is the memory tethers, and I think that's like probably an 8 or a 10, or an 8 or a 9 on the difficulty scale. It's a blind progression, of course, not an actual difficulty.
So on your difficulty rating scale, was there any mechanic that you ran into that was a 10?
Hello World
2. They straight up stuck an ultimate level mechanic in Savage, and I think that's why it took the extra day.
Yeah. Here, I'm not sure if this is true. This is what I've heard, but when we were progging Hello World 2, there was a mechanic that came up. It was a pig-looking debuff that basically said, in order to clear the debuff, you must take damage from certain sources. And what's unique to Hello World 2, as apart from Hello World 1, is that there's these towers that you have to stand in that will give you a buff, and that buff is cleared by that pink debuff. And we didn't know that, because what we confirmed going into it is that this pink debuff, which is held by the healer initially, does not do damage to you. And in order to clear the buff from the tower, you must have damage done to you, because that's what it read in the description. So we tried every which way in order to somehow damage the people who were in the tower in order to clear their buffs off of them. And it only turned out to be a lie when Entropy released the video and found out that all you had to do was have the pink debuff on you at the same time the tower blew up, or a little before. And all it had to do was just blow up on you. You don't take any damage, but the buff still falls on you. So I'm not sure if it was a mistranslation. It definitely was, because we spent all that time essentially doing it wrong, and definitely screwed with us, which was unfortunate.
Yeah. And we did waste a lot of time like trying to do what it says, which was take damage from sources, but all that would end up doing is killing your people and the tower exploding. So we did eventually get it figured out before any resources and everything were given out, but it wasted a lot of time in the period where we were testing all the wrong ways to solve it.
My head hurts.
Yeah, it's definitely confusing. It's basically a buff that the way it reads is it will cause damage when it explodes. It's on the healer first. It does a little mini AoE around you that if anyone's near you, you will die. But it won't kill the person who it's on. So we thought we had to use that AoE in some sense to clear the people who were in the tower of their buff. But that turned out to not be the case, because it killed them anyway. So we tried every which way. It was unfortunate that that wasn't the case, and had the debuff been read differently, like it needed to be paired with another buff or something in order for it to be cleared, we would have probably caught on much quicker.
Yeah, we finally figured it out, because that was pretty much the only thing we hadn't tested, is getting the pink debuff to expire at the same time as the tower. But doing that means that you have to do all the rest of the stuff correctly, because we were going about it in a whole big picture way, so we were trying to resolve the entire mechanic while figuring out that piece of the puzzle. And that eventually we confirmed it by just using Hallowed Ground with that to live through all the other stuff going off while doing the pink thing. And it went through. So it was really just a guessing game, since we didn't have the correct tooltip.
My head still hurts.
Yeah, I was gonna say, it's definitely confusing. I know when we streamed the last day, people were definitely nodding, kind of scratching their heads at it, but just know that debuff was read wrong, therefore everyone in North America was doing it wrong.
It'll be interesting to see in a couple of weeks' time how the Party Finder pub groups do regarding completing 12.
So, I'd say the difficulty doesn't really stem from, progressing it. It's really just the execution. Because execution of that mechanic is actually very fine. As in, you can mess it up very easily.
Yeah, that's what I meant by them just sticking an ultimate level mechanic in Savage, is that you normally don't see something with that level of positioning precision plus the timing in a savage fight.
I guess they had to give it the tier a good send off. And aside from the music in Omega, it was that mechanic.
Yeah, that is the send off. I mean, because that is the final mechanic in the fight, essentially. So once you're done with it, he just does things that he already did beforehand.
But as for the actual fight, I think the developers actually did really well on this tier. I'm actually really proud of what they did. I think if they keep it up, like with the next expansions are definitely going to be fun rating-wise.
This was definitely a tier worth rating for and world progging for. I feel like I knew going into it that, if anything, my kind of predictions were they weren't going to raise the skill ceiling for like the last two fights. I figured they were just going to up the difficulty of the first two, and then say, you know, like we progress, eventually made it more difficult for people. But they made it harder in 11 and 12, which was, I mean, it was exciting for us as world proggers because now the tier doesn't die in 2 days or a day. For everyone else, though, in Party Finder, might have not have been as exciting. I knew Chaos was definitely something people struggled with without the videos and stuff. So there was a lot of heat.
Okay, don't leave, please. Don't leave. Don't leave.
Oh,
he's left.
Yeah.
We wanted to get this. We wanted to get the celebration screenshot to show our accomplishments here in this Rabanastre world first.
Sorry.
It's like, do you know what? It's okay because we don't get salty about that because we're world first Rabanastre progging people.
Liking the attitude.
Yeah, like I say, I've got it. I've got the attitude. I've got jokes. I've got some DPS, not a lot, but it's all good.
Are you ready?
Boom. Ridorana Lighthouse. The second installment in the 24-man dungeons, and we're still here with fantastic members of Team Mythic, Rice, and Rain, and Kifd.
It's
Hey,
Riss.
how's it going, right?
Riss! Oh my god, I fucked it up!
You owe me 100 gil, by the way.
Yeah, we had a bet.
I mean, I think you should owe him more because he didn't even say the full thing. That was
That
the
is
easy
true.
one.
Rice.
Rice.
I've been called
patties.
many things before. Don't worry.
No, don't. That's me getting kicked out of the trial. Step 1, pronounce my name. You're out.
Kind of off topic, but the best thing I've been called was Rislyei Issos. So you haven't gone that far yet.
Rislyei Issos.
I mean, I kind of like that name, not gonna lie.
It's like you're a rice god? I don't know.
With Isis on the end, with a hint
Yeah, I was gonna say it's that part that kind of like, you know.
Yeah.
Not really
with a
I
hint
like
of
doing it.
politically correct things we shouldn't talk about.
right.
Fun and games. So
You're
good.
saying
I
we're
do want to.
not allowed to talk about ISIS?
I mean, I don't see what they have with involved in the Final Fantasy. Oh no!
I was thinking
this is
of-
actually
there's probably an FC called ISIS.
I was thinking of the Egyptian goddess, but okay.
yeah.
I think
That's what we're thinking about too, Echo.
Yeah.
So moving in the direction of
I'm
avoiding
dying.
AoEs
I'm
because I
dying.
have to try.
Okay, I didn't die.
Die quietly.
Sorry.
It's fine. We've been over a few topics regarding your enjoyment. Oh no, we actually have to concentrate now while doing this. It's really throwing my game off. I feel terrible and bad at this game.
I mean, what changed?
I hate you. I hate you in like 3 languages.
Please tell me that you hate me in 3 different languages.
Moving on. So
Tell him. The odio.
no, you guys had a couple of days spare. What was the prep for that? Did you have like snacks nearby? Did you make sure you get 8 hours of sleep? What was the physical rundown?
Well, we're obviously progging for a really long time.
So you're saying you poop socked it.
Okay. Alright, I didn't mean that. But, we had snacks prepared, made sure everyone's, like, well rested for the next day. Except, some people wanted to stay up for 36 hours.
Who would want that?
I stayed up for 36 hours.
Why?
So
Because-
there's a
no
lot of
problem.
things. I'll after Jen makes her account, I'll say mine, but I'll kind of explain just kind of why I was up that long. After that,
Anyway, this guy was up for 36 hours going into World Pod, so we decided, or we're going in, and then an hour or two in, he gets like really tired. It's really noticeable. So we just all start talking about it. Sorry, I'm kind of focusing.
Yeah.
was
But
it that
yeah.
noticeable?
It was really noticeable.
Honestly, I felt like I did pretty well for being up for that long. I don't think I messed up as much as I could have.
Right now, you're the one saying, I don't think I messed up as well as I could have. I think I did pretty well. And your entire FC is behind you going, no, it's actually pretty terrible. He fucking
Okay, that
ruined it.
happens regardless of what I do, so I'm used to that.
36
But,
hours, though? That's a long time, man.
So a lot of the prep, I feel like a lot of the world progging is the prep. And, I mean, obviously world progging is just raiding. We did have a crafting team going into it, and we never really had somebody to kind of like lead the crafting, kind of like show them what they had to do. I mean, we had like a couple people from, I guess it's your guys' FC. We had like one person kind of like help out our team over in Sargatanis.
Yep.
But as far as the initial hours went, we didn't have anybody. So what happened was after we got all the information of, the materials that were coming out, the recipes and whatnot, I was basically up the entire night trying to organize a spreadsheet for all the materials along with one of my crafters. So that way, once everyone was up, they just knew what they had to gather, craft, and get everything done in a short amount of time. So yeah, that's what I was up doing for
Interestingly enough,
throughout the entire night.
I was doing exactly what you were doing, but on this side for Kifd.
Right. So
I kind of shouldered that burden, so I completely understand exactly what you mean regarding staying up doing it, because it's a lot of plans, it's a lot of theory, it's a lot of organization, not just on resources and materials, but also people, what they're capable of, if they're going to be on time zones when the game comes up, whether they
Right.
can make it, if we've got any stand-ins, backups, and all sorts of things on top. And then obviously when it actually happens, it's all fun and games too, but so yeah, I get you. I believe in you, I forgive you.
yeah, it's. I kind of wish more people knew what went on behind the scenes in terms of World Prog. I feel like that's the hardest part, really, is like the day before World Prog. Trying to make sure you're completely prepared for everything, and you're like anxious to try to like get in because you just want to like get it done and over with, see where you stand, and
Yeah, I definitely felt that too. It's kind of, it's like a weird pressure, because it's not like going to get you on any leadership boards or anything else, but on the other hand, you're also depending, like, you're depending on everything to run smoothly enough, otherwise the leaderboard thing isn't going to be a thing at all. Because you need that gear.
yeah, I mean there is no leaderboard, but I feel like among the top raiders, everyone kind of knows each other in some sense, and everyone wants kind of like every group wants to kind of like prove to each other that they're the best and that they're more capable than another group. It's more so a friendly competition, and if anyone has done anything competitive, it's the same thing where the day before some sort of tournament or event goes on, you're you're anxious, you want to like you just want to get into it, you're excited. It just stems from loving what you do and enjoying what you do.
I guess that proves you love it then, Kifd, considering every conversation we had leading up to it was you saying, oh, I wish it was the 11th. Why couldn't it have been last week?
yeah, I wanted to go.
Sure, I think everyone was hoping for the 11th. I was hoping for the 11th.
Let's just say that the days leading up to the 18th were very boring.
Very boring, but I'm pretty sure the day right before people were feeling anxious, or some people were. Pretty sure others were just asleep, but I was definitely feeling it.
I'd say on the prep side, with the gathering and crafting sort of side of things, I was kind of thankful for the extra week because it enabled us to get the just-in-case materials, which is that just in case they would have thrown in some sort of adamantite ore from Heaven's Ward or something else, which enabled us to get a bit of a stockpile, which could have given a big edge in terms of getting stuff out into people faster. But yeah, it did turn into a like, oh my god, this needs to be over pretty quickly. I think it's done differently with the 5.0 patch, doesn't it? Isn't there like a week or two before Savage content is released aside from the normal patch? Or was that just...
They did do that for Stormblood.
I believe it was. I don't think it was a week though. I think it was.
It was a month after the expansion. 2 weeks was for the normal raids, and then 2 weeks after that they released the Savage raids.
Yeah, I never did Alexander, so I don't know if that was a common thing back in the 3.0 stuff as well, or if it's something new they're trying.
They probably will do it for the expansions, just because they want, like, obviously they're releasing a lot of content in a short time, so they want people to, enjoy the new story and whatnot, and not make the world progress rush to the story, because obviously you can't do raids until you complete the story. They want, so it would be a big disadvantage to world progress and whatnot if they released all of that story that was, gated. And they had to rush through it because that would be the only way to get world first. So that's why they'll probably do it again for the expansions.
Oh well, at least it gives us some time. And I guess it gives you guys some time to prepare for it as well.
Yeah, it's also a different kind of ball game when you do the first tier of the expansion. Just because they give you so much time, you kind of have those 2 weeks to kind of farm up the normal gear. Kind of get as much pieces as you can before the Savage patch comes out. So oftentimes you might not need like all the crafted gear, depending on what the substats are for the normal gear.
I guess it gives you all that extra time to theory craft like the perfect statistical requirement for everyone as well. So everyone goes in premium.
Yeah, people have to learn their all their class changes and any new jobs that are out.
And also with the 2 weeks of the normal being out, you can at least get somewhat of an expectation for what the Savage will be like.
Hopefully it's easy.
I'm hoping too that it is
easier, so I don't mind.
I feel like they would make it easier the first tier of the expansion, just because people are getting used to the new jobs. I mean, they even said that when Delta came out, people are getting used to the new jobs, leveling up the new ones as well, seeing where everything kind of aligns in terms of the meta. Because I'm not sure if people were there for the first couple of days, but it was all samurais. People thought samurai was going to be good going into raid, and well, I don't want to say it's bad. It's definitely not ideal though.
Hey, they had their 5 weeks of fame, okay?
They did. I mean, I raided with the samurai back in Delta, and while it wasn't too bad, it definitely didn't turn out to be ideal afterwards. And this is strictly from like a world prog perspective. Like I've said before, you can clear with any class. From a world prog perspective, you just want to have the classes with the most tools available to you.
I guess if you are already so finely tuned as players, you want the best you can get in terms of your tools.
Right.
Otherwise, why would you disadvantage yourself?
Like, Samurai excels when it comes to damage. And when you're blind progging, damage is not your main focus, which is why a lot of players discourage Samurai, and I feel like a lot of players, especially in Party Finder stuff, don't really understand that. Is that Samurai is good if you know what you're doing. But if you don't know what you're doing, and you're playing a class that doesn't offer anything aside from just damage, it could be detrimental. Not saying it is, but it could be.
Mm-hmm. Think they're going to put some new classes in soon?
You know, I'm kind of on the fence about them adding a class before 5.0. If they do, I'm thinking it'd be Blue Mage. Because I believe it was data mined already.
Yeah, the hints were data mined. But as always, you know what Square's like when it comes to revealing stuff.
Right, I believe it was like that during 3.5. I believe the job gauges were data mined before the expansion. So, not saying they will, they just probably have it in there as for when the expansion releases. Yeah, something that I kind of have realized as well is that I'm pretty sure, because they announced that there was no ultimate for 4.5, they're not doing that. I'm kind of glad they made this tier harder, just to give the people who were world progging Savage kind of something to do, you know, for a little bit more, for a little bit longer.
Mm-hmm.
There's no ultimate tier, so, you know, you don't really have that time, or you're not really looking forward to anything, but with this tier being a little bit more difficult, I'm hoping that, you know, in terms of like speed killing certain fights, that it becomes a little bit more challenging to kind of come up with strats that offer the best, just give the best results overall.
Be interested to see what the new 24 man is. I said that completely as a completely casual loser.
I'm kind of interested. I've been following the story in 24 man just because I played a lot of Final Fantasy Tactics. So I'm excited. I'm not sure if other people are, but I really like the story. I honestly love FF story, so I try to play when I can. Or I try to go back and watch the cutscenes when I can't, because we're world progging, you know, you gotta skip them.
Yeah, does that bother you at all? It
A
would
little
bother
bit,
me.
honestly. Like, I'd rather, like, you know why the next fight is what it is. But can't do that.
Hmm.
I did go back and watch it though, and I was like, oh, okay.
Suddenly it all makes perfect sense. How
You're
we got
right.
from here to here. How did I not predict that?
Like, oh, okay, that makes sense.
But yeah. We shouldn't say spoilers though, just in case there are people out there that haven't done it yet.
That is true. It's only week 2, but
Yeah, we have to be reasonable with spoilers.
I'll try my best.
Can't believe they killed Alpha.
Spoilers.
That's right. Alpha's just going on, you know, he's trying to find himself.
He's going to his forever home.
He's an art student.
Yeah.
All the art students just scowl and discuss.
I feel like there's a Starbucks joke there somewhere, and I can't grasp it.
Well, I feel like that would be a personal attack on Jen, because when it comes to Starbucks, that's Jen.
Me?
That is Jen.
You're more of a Tim Hortons guy.
Honestly, I was back when, you know, Tim Hortons offered quality product.
Oh no, what's happened? Because my interactions with the internet have led me to believe Tim Hortons and Timbits is the mystical nectar and food of the gods. You can't spoil that for me.
It was, but I believe they got bought out, and I forget by which company. And after that, they're Just their coffee is bad. Like, I'd rather go to McDonald's for coffee.
Ooh, that's bad.
Ooh.
Oh, it's bad. Like, Tim Hortons, it just isn't what it used to be.
But McDonald's?
Honestly, McDonald's here, their coffee isn't bad. Same with their hot chocolate. I would say it's way better than Tim Hortons.
Potential world racers is to have a good diet going in.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, for some people just got like their frozen meals, heat them up real quick. Others probably had meals prepped, but who knows?
I just have the idea of you guys.
Himes, where did you go?
The game decided I'd played badly and it got rid of me. So I'm reconnecting
I think
right
I have
now.
to respect the game's decision on this one.
What?
That's the second time I've called you bad this run.
I'm trying my best. Look, I gather stuff, okay? When do you ever do that?
I've gathered lots of stuff.
I've gathered more.
I mean, probably.
Are
I
we going to
craft
get
more
in
stuff.
a gathering fight here?
I mean, if it's a crafting and gathering fight, I'll win. So,
True.
because I do all my own stunts.
The Jackie Chan of the Gathering World.
I wouldn't
Mostly-
go that far.
It's mostly because I don't have any friends. So,
Oh wow.
Hey, join
Thanks.
the club. You don't need friends to world prog.
I feel like that's not true.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we were all friends going into it.
That's debatable.
Yeah, we were.
Yeah, that's debatable.
Well,
do you have
keyword
fights? Do you have legit fights? Do you have disagreements?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
I mean,
100%.
it's the way what happens in every group. Sometimes it happens, but you know, we get over it. We're adults.
Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't even have to be like world proc for us to have fights. We have fights regardless. Or so about how we, move past it.
Well,
So
that's like a huge part of your static, right? I mean, how you guys communicate and sort of get past disagreements and sort of mesh with one another.
Right. It's
sometimes
like a
that
relationship
kind
in a sense, There's always going to be fights. It's just how you deal with it.
What would you fight over? I mean,
Honestly, sometimes really dumb stuff, but
Yeah,
It's
normally
like-
when stress is at an all-time high, sometimes when people mess up, it can get to people, just because of the pressure of clearing.
which is of course very different from the toxic environment people might probably put that towards.
Yeah, I feel like the whole issue with toxicity in Party Finder is the moment someone's against you, it's considered toxicity, and I have to shake my head at it. Because that's not what it is. Like, sometimes it is constructive, and sometimes people don't convey it the right way, you just gotta see it, but I don't feel like people make the effort to see it that way. They just take it as offense, and it's a one all. Which...
So, how good are you guys at math?
very bad.
Oh shit, it's this one.
Yeah, I honestly think we're better at math than directions.
I mean, same.
I mean, that's debatable.
I can do math, but left and right, don't even get me started.
Okay, viewers, pay very close attention
Be
to your
stuck with me.
favorite person. And make sure they do the math puzzle correctly. Rain, what are you doing?
I am respecting the content.
Right? What is that response?
It is a correct response.
For those who don't know, respecting the content means you adhere to every mechanic. And what Jen did was disrespecting the mechanic.
Oh,
I think respecting the content would be getting hit by it. That means you respect Square Enix enough.
Yeah,
I
actually
respected
fall for
this
them.
content then because I'm dead.
Yeah,
Obviously, Square Enix did a lot to develop the content, so you gotta get hit by it as a form of respect.
exactly.
I'm not gonna raise until after this is done.
Please don't.
Can I have a raise, please?
You're gonna have to ask someone else.
I want to do quick maths.
Okay, bye, Echo.
Bye.
Oh, here we go. I wish I knew what this mechanic was.
It's subtraction, obviously.
It's a moment of silence now for me to panic.
So I don't need to do this one, right?
You have 5 HP?
No, I have 46,000.
Oh, I see. It's alright. Respecting, right?
Yeah.
I guess we all made it.
Yeah, you can say that.
We'll just ignore that you only have one check mark.
Oh yeah! I didn't realise it
Damage
was shown that
stacks
way.
are overrated.
No, we call them high 5 stacks.
These are A+ stacks, thank you.
In our
Because
group,
you
we
get
have
A+
a race
on your
to
math
see.
test.
In our group, we have a race to see whoever has the most red marks.
I win.
What, with red marks?
Yeah. Can we have a race to see who dies the most? Because I think I'd win.
I don't want that kind of race.
Hold my beer.
I mean, if you really want to play that Iams, I'll just stop healing you.
Oh, I didn't realise you were a healer. Shock.
I've been a healer for this entire time.
That is my awareness of the situation, Blake. That's why I gather stuff. I look at a node, I see a node, okay?
Is that all you see? Are you, like...
Yeah, pretty much.
Is Construct 7 just a giant node?
Yeah.
Just waiting for it to be gathered?
Mm-hmm.
Is that why you play Dragoon?
Yes.
I mean, if you think about it, you are just kind of poking things to death, you know, like you would, you know, a
Rain.
mining node.
Rain, why would you do that to me?
You
You know what you did.
uh,
Well, I thought we were world-class buddies.
it's so world class, I'll respect the mechanic.
You were running your AoE
There are
into
times
my
in World
arse.
There are times in World Prog where sometimes you just gotta sack a person. You know, it's better to have one person dead than the rest of the group.
It's most of the time it's the ninja.
Yeah, sometimes it's just, you know, just gotta make that call sometime.
Just so casually, just disregarding life. Like,
Well, I mean, you're a dragoon. Aren't you on the floor most of the time anyway?
I'm surprised we lasted this long without making a Dragoon.
yeah,
Should have like a podcast bingo.
I've been. You know what? I actually considered doing a secret one and then putting it up at the end of. Putting it up at the end of the podcast. Instead, it's going to be a screenshot of us at the end of this, so please don't run away. At the end of the thing.
I wasn't sure. Did we talk about like our rating history at all?
I mean, go for it.
Yeah, because I wasn't sure. I was like, that... but
I mean, we got the origins of Mythic. We got the three of you that needed some sort of dead. That needed some sort of like cohesion and direction for the group to go in. So where did it all begin?
Yeah, I mean, we got Kif's background as far as gaming, but what about you guys?
I guess I'll go first. So I've been raiding. I've been around since 2.5. I didn't really hardcore raid. It was just mostly a casual kind of thing, raiding Final Coil with my FC at the time back on the Genova server. Afterwards, once Heavensward came out, and the I don't know if anyone here knows, but when Gordius came out, a lot of groups kind of fell apart. Raid scene kind of fell apart. It was
A3.
Right. It was what's known as, raid purge. Just killed off the raiding scene. And for me, that just served as more motivation to clear that tier. So my group on Genova, as casual as they were, and as long as I was with them, decided that we had to go our separate ways. And so, as most people did back then, transferred to Gilgamesh in search of a group. Ended up finding one, which we went on to clear the tier. I believe it was a week before Midas. And I stayed with that group until Creator, when our group just kind of fell apart. And then I moved to Sarkatanis to kind of rate a little bit more hardcore. I would still say it's a bit more midcore. And after we cleared that tier, that was like my first tier I ever cleared, like week 1. So it was my first experience at really doing long hours in terms of progression. And afterwards, I moved back to Gilgamesh after that group fell apart. And basically waited until Stormblood. And then Stormblood was when I got my first experience of being a raid leader. Kind of had some friends, put together a group, did Delta. It was kind of okay. Did some week 1. We got a week 1 clear in the end, but it wasn't really what I was looking for. Like, I was looking for something a little bit more hardcore. I obviously wanted to world prog. I just didn't think I was there yet at the time. So I was kind of like building my way up until finally, after Deltascape and when Unending Coil of Bahamut came out, that I was like, okay, yeah, I really want to clear this. I want a hardcore prog. And that's when that's when I kind of disbanded my own group and found Jen's group at the time, which was back in November of 2017. And yeah, I mean, that was pretty much it from there. It was a different group back then, of course. We had different people, but I got through my trial okay. We cleared Ultimate in, relatively good time. And from there, we just kind of stuck as a group all the way until now.
So little pieces over time got together for you then?
Right. It was more so of a build-up. Like, I didn't know what I really wanted at the time. Like, I knew I wanted a challenge. I wanted to challenge myself in this game. But I knew I wasn't like at that skill level to just all of a sudden jump from casual raiding to hardcore prog. And I figured that I would, take my experiences where I can, kind of build myself up, build kind of a resume, so to speak. And yeah, after that, here I am.
Was yours similar, Ryan?
Actually, pretty far from it. So I don't have that extensive of a reading history as this does. I actually started playing this game in Stormblood. So all of my experiences are from Stormblood. But initially I was in a really casual group for Deltascape. I think we took like 3 or 4 weeks to clear. I think Ophrys at the time. Yeah, Ophrys. But and then afterwards, I thought like I wanted something like more from the group. Like I wanted to actually like progress, get somewhere in this game, and that's when UCOP went out. And I had a group initially for UCOP, but we broke up like shortly into the tier. Some issues with the roster, but eventually led me to start like looking for groups, and I couldn't find any at the time, so I was kind of out of luck for UCOB. I almost actually quit the game at the time, but I think eventually when I couldn't find a group, I ended up just making my own, and that's kind of where the story kind of began for me. But ever since I like actually made my own group, we've been together for quite a while. I've been leading for quite a while, even though I've like never really had an extensive raiding or raid leading history before. So it's certainly interesting. It's definitely a new experience for me. But other than that, that's pretty much it.
Do you have a lot of gaming background as far as outside of Final Fantasy?
I did play Dragoness extensively, rating wise. I played WoW for a little bit, but it never really actually like hardcore rated or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
Other than that, most of my gaming history was around fighting games, actually. Fighting or FPS games. Before I played Final Fantasy, I actually played Overwatch for quite a bit. And I was actually planning to go pro in Overwatch, but never really got the chance because of unfortunate circumstances. But yeah, it's basically where I came from, gaming-wise at least.
Yeah, and I also came from fighting games. I played Super Smash Bros. Melee for a very long time. And I went to tournaments, I did all that kind of stuff. Played a lot of StarCraft 2, StarCraft 1 as well. I was big into like the kind of RTS, fighting game genre, and then with a little bit of FPS, I played, back when I was a kid, I've been playing like Halo 3, Halo 2. So I don't know, I just enjoy games that, are pretty straightforward, but require a lot of skill to execute.
So you like a challenge?
Oh, I'm gonna die. Or I'm not. Funny you mentioned the fighting game stuff. I actually, before I went into MMOs, I spent a lot of time on fighting games myself, usually Super Street Fighter 4, and then into Ultra Super Street Fighter 4, which was fun.
Yeah, I still kind of play some fighting games. I've been playing a lot of Dragon Ball Fighters. Street Fighter 5 I've been kind of playing. I play Melee from time to time, but not as much as I did back then.
The thing I noticed out of the differences is the skill cap is phenomenal. It's an absolute nightmare. See, with something like this, you can go into a learning party, you can go into whatever, but you can make some sort of headway, if you've never raided before, you can jump in, you can give it a shot, and you can walk away with something rather than nothing. When it came to fighting games, I always found there was this weird glass ceiling where as soon as you got there, you would get your ass handed to you every single time, and there was nothing you could do about it. And that took a lot of the fun out for me. I just got thrown off the building.
That's what happens when you fail that mechanic.
Oh. Thanks, Blake. Cheers for the tip.
Well, I mean, just magnets, how they work. Because apparently Himes doesn't know.
Alright, magnets are a very hard mechanic, alright?
Yeah, it's
about as hard as left and right.
Left and right gives.
The left and right and the math, Square just likes to put a lot of hard mechanics in here, like magnets and math, left
Oh,
and right.
God.
Like,
The next one's going to have some sort of spelling mechanic in it.
I'll get ready for
Oh,
the jump mechanics.
if there's if there's seriously a spelling mechanic, I am out right now.
It's coming next. It's all they need left so that they can sell this to schools as an educational game.
I am out when it comes to spelling.
Gonna use the big attack, guys. No, I'm not. I'm gonna die.
And also back on the topic of like, games we've played before, I feel like coming from those games definitely helped me at MMOs. And especially like RTS games, because it definitely helped with on-the-fly problem solving. Obviously, a Street Fighter, fighting games definitely helped me with more so reactions. FPS did the same. It was just, I feel like you'd have to be, I wouldn't say you have to be good at other games in order to world prog in this game. I feel like those experiences definitely contribute a lot, and I feel like people who have come from other games like fighting games, like RTS games, stuff like that, they're the ones most willing to be challenged and want to do stuff like hardcore prog.
Where are you going, Hypes?
Oh
up here.
my god. Left again.
We just said don't leave!
I'm so sorry.
It's alright, we don't need her. She's not part of it.
Someone's not in the screenshot.
Yeah.
Rain.
Let's just put Lim and just tell him not to leave. Get him in the shot. Just say it's Rain.
No, I've actually got a better idea. What we're gonna do is we're gonna stand over here, take a screenshot, and then I want him to.
Just I must paint them in.
Yeah, that's the plan.
We actually did that with whenever we cleared A12. One of our members left right immediately, and we just painted her in. It was the worst drawing ever, and it was kind of perfect.
That's great.
Hey, this kind of works for
Am
one
I
screenshot.
surrounded by cat people?
Yes.
Yeah, join the club.
No, I want to be right here. Himes, you're blocking Riss.
Yeah, stop being so tall, Himes. Get in
Fine.
the back.
Oh, I've got a tail. I am the tallest. I am good at something. I world progged the character selection screen.
Okay, we need poses too. Don't just stand there.
This wasn't part of the deal.
Great. Now everyone's going to start Nova. I've got money too, Kifd.
I think Echo and I both don't have money, so
No, we don't have money.
that's okay.
Oh, but I do have that.
It is kind of the most adorable pose.
Oh,
Oh my god, that's so cute. Smile, Riss.
Did I not post?
Oh, she's already in G-pose. This is already being taken.
Yeah.
Just on the audio side of things.
Aw, cute.
Thanks very much for devoting a couple of hours of your time to spend it talking with us about your world first run, your experiences, and generally just talking about random stuff, It's nice to...
And your plans for the future.
Yeah.
We're really looking forward to the expansion coming out and seeing what you do with that.
Yeah, 5.0 is going to be interesting. I feel like that you've definitely, as I said before, raised a few eyebrows in terms of the world race scene, and they're definitely going to be keeping an eye on you as we draw closer to 5.0.
Yeah, sounds great. I mean, if you guys, want to hit us up again before the expansion, kind of see what we have in store,
Yes.
I'd be down to come back again. Yeah.
Yeah, we'd love that.
Do you have any shout-outs?
Yes, because everyone complained about it last podcast. shoutouts to Team Mythic, especially Gelsey, because our warrior, he was the one that complained the most. So shoutouts to him.
Definitely
He's
shout out
the
to him.
other founding member, yeah.
He's the other founding member. So shoutouts to him. Shoutouts to the team. Elevation XX, our caster. Cinemation Theaters, our bard. Our Dragoon, which we unfortunately had to let go. All Tyson knocked. We had to let him go earlier this week. But shoutouts to him for sticking by us during World Prog. And yeah.
Shout out to our crafting team. We really appreciate
Yeah,
it.
huge shout out to
Yes.
the Sword crafting team and the Syndicate on Adamantoise. Couldn't have done it without you guys.
Yeah, we literally could not have done O10S, honestly. I don't think we would have gotten World Second without you guys, because our crafting gear really helped. So, thanks a lot.
Of course.
Oh,
I know, I feel like a little warm, fuzzy spot in my heart because I was a very tiny part of that, but
it was a lot of fun on that
It
side of
was-
things, getting
it
everything ready
was.
and getting everything sorted out.
yep.
Oh yeah, it's definitely a battle for crafting team as well. They have their own raid to kind of figure out.
Yeah, like you mentioned, it's the behind-the-scenes stuff that people aren't aware of what goes on, but the amount of theory crafting and prep, and I think we ended up preparing for 4.4 midway through 4.2, knowing we get our gathered crafted gear out on 4.3, and after doing all that, starting immediately to prepare for 4.4, so it's just going to be another onslaught to 5.0.
Right, exactly. And I've done this before during 3.0 to 3.1. That leveling up until that raid tier it's a lot of fun. It adds another layer of something to race towards. So can't wait.
Mm-hmm. Well, we will definitely give you a shout the closer to the time, or if anything new happens.
Yeah, sounds great.
And once again, thank you for the time. I'm sure you'd much rather have spent it running Uwu 6 times in a row, or whatever it is you world first guys do to to chill out.
No, it was definitely a lot of fun being here. I would love to come back. So
Yay!
Yeah, thanks for having me again.
Thank
No
you,
worries.
Rain.
yeah, thanks
Bye,
for having us.
guys.
Bye.